When Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid in 2018, football held its breath for about 30 seconds and then immediately started searching for his replacement, and within a few years, it found one. A French kid from the suburbs of Paris who ran like a sports car, scored like a machine, and had Ronaldo's poster on his bedroom wall growing up, and the world looked at Kylian Mbappe and said, yes, that works, that is the next one, and the shirts started selling, and the stadium stayed full, and Real Madrid kept winning, and the commercial machine of football kept spinning without missing a single rotation, because that is what the sport does with Cristiano Ronaldo. It appreciates him, it celebrates him, it puts him on a pedestal, and then when he leaves a stage, it finds someone else to fill it. Because Ronaldo, for all his extraordinary greatness, all his 900-plus goals, and his 5 Ballon d'Or awards, and his obsessive, almost superhuman dedication to physical excellence, was always ultimately replaceable in the way that a force of nature can be replaced by another force of nature. But when Lionel Messi left Barcelona in 2021, football did not hold its breath for 30 seconds. It has been holding its breath ever since, because 5 years later, at 37 years old, playing in a league that most European football fans would not watch on a Sunday afternoon, Messi is still the conversation, still the reference point, still the name that every young forward in the world is measured against and found slightly wanting, and nobody, not Mbappe, not Vinicius, not Lamine Yamal, not any of the extraordinary talents that have emerged in the years since, has even come close to filling the specific and unrepeatable space that Messi occupies in this sport. And that is not a sentimental observation. That is a football fact. And it tells you everything about the difference between the two greatest players of the modern era and why one of them was a phenomenon the sport could absorb and one of them was something the sport has never seen before and may never see again. To understand why Mbappe can replace Ronaldo but nobody can replace Messi, you have to understand what each of them actually was, not in terms of statistics, both men have numbers that are frankly absurd, but in terms of what they gave the people around them, because Ronaldo's genius was essentially a solo genius, a genius of individual excellence pushed to its absolute ceiling through an iron will and a physical dedication that borders on the obsessive. A genius that said, watch me, study me, be inspired by me, but that ultimately produced its most breathtaking results when Ronaldo himself was the primary instrument of that production. And Mbappe, for all his speed and his finishing and his extraordinary individual quality, operates in a fundamentally similar way. He is the main character, the focal point, the man the system is built around, the player whose individual brilliance is the product being sold, and that is why the handover has worked so smoothly, because football knew how to package that kind of genius, had been packaging it for 2 decades, and simply updated the software while keeping the same operating system. And the game moved on, and Mbappe's first 2 seasons at Real Madrid produced 86 goals. And the machine kept humming, and Ronaldo was not missed in the way the sport feared he would be, because the slot he occupied, the elite individual goal scorer who bends the game around his personal excellence, was a slot that could, with the right candidate, be filled. Messi's slot cannot be filled because Messi's slot is not a position or a role or a function. It is a way of seeing the game that no other human being has ever shared. A vision of football so complete and so instantaneous that teammates who played alongside him for years have described the experience in terms that sound closer to witnessing a natural phenomenon than playing a team sport. Because Messi did not just score goals or make assists or win individual awards, he elevated every player around him. He found angles that did not exist. He made the correct decision in situations where most players were still processing the problem, and the teams he played for did not simply benefit from his presence the way a team benefits from a great player. They were transformed by it, lifted into a different category of football altogether, and that transformative quality, that ability to make the sum infinitely greater than its parts, is the thing that no successor has come close to replicating, and it is the reason that Mbappe, despite being an undeniably great player who is already one of the best of his generation, has spent 2 full seasons at the most powerful club in the world without winning a major trophy, and with serious questions still being asked about whether he genuinely makes Real Madrid better as a collective or simply adds individual goals to a machine that was already working, which is a question that was never once asked about Messi in his prime, because the answer was always so blindingly obvious that asking it would have felt absurd. And now both men are at the 2026 World Cup, which is the most extraordinary backdrop imaginable for this conversation. Messi at 38, playing what is almost certainly his final tournament, leading Argentina as the defending champion, still producing moments of vision that stop stadiums cold. Mbappe at 27, at the absolute peak of his physical powers, carrying France with a hunger sharpened by the most painful possible defeat in 2022 when he scored a hat trick in a World Cup final and still lost. And the whole world watching to see whether the new era has truly arrived or whether Messi's last tournament will prove one final time that the era never ended. It just changed its address. And whatever happens on that pitch between now and July 19th, the answer to the deeper question is already settled. Because football found Mbappe and said, "This is our new star." And it was right, and it moved on. And it has been searching for a new Messi every single day since 2021, and it has found nothing. And that silence, that absence, that irreplaceable gap in the center of the sport's imagination is the most eloquent answer to the GOAT debate that football has ever produced, because you only understand what someone was when you try to find another one and discover that the search has no end.